What if everything you've heard about coffee and kidney health is wrong, at least for anyone over 60? Most of that advice was written for a 30-year-old's kidneys, not yours. I'm a health researcher, not a doctor. I don't treat patients. What I do is read the latest studies on aging and kidney health, then break them down in plain words so you don't have to dig through medical journals yourself. The information you're about to hear comes from real research, not guesses, and not scare tactics. It's not personal medical advice either. Your own doctor knows your body and your numbers better than anyone else can. Think of this as a starting point for a smart conversation with them, not a replacement for it. Here's why this matters. As we get older, our kidneys naturally slow down a little. They don't filter waste as fast as they used to. At the same time, our bodies get slower at clearing caffeine out of the bloodstream. And the signal that tells us we're thirsty gets weaker with age too. Put those three things together, and the same cup of coffee that was harmless at 35 can behave very differently at 65. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why that happens inside an older body, the small group of people who really do need to be careful with coffee, and one easy swap that lets most seniors keep enjoying their morning cup without any extra worry. No scare tactics. No miracle claims. Just what the research actually shows, explained the simple way. To understand why coffee acts differently after 60, you need to know one simple fact about your kidneys. They lose a little working power every year, even when you feel perfectly healthy. Doctors call this drop in filtering power a falling GFR, but you can just think of it as your kidney's reserve tank. When you were younger, that tank was full. Your kidneys could handle extra fluid, extra salt, and yes, extra caffeine, without much trouble. As you age, that tank slowly empties, even without any disease. By the time most people hit their 60s or 70s, they may be running on a smaller reserve than they realize, because blood tests can look normal, while reserve is already shrinking underneath. Here's where coffee comes in. Caffeine is mostly broken down by your liver, and your liver, just like your kidneys, slows down with age. So the same cup of coffee that left your body in a few hours at 30 might stay active in your system much longer at 65 or 70. That means a stronger and longer effect on your blood pressure and your heart, even if you didn't change a single thing about how you drink your coffee. There's a second piece to this puzzle, and it's one almost nobody talks about. As we age, the brain's thirst signal gets weaker. You simply don't feel thirsty as quickly as you used to, even when your body needs water. Coffee already pulls a little extra fluid out of you. Pair that with a thirst signal that's slower to kick in, and you have a setup where mild dehydration can creep in quietly, without you ever feeling thirsty enough to notice. So picture your kidney reserve like the gas gauge in an old car. At 30, you could drive for miles after the warning light came on. At 65, that same warning light means you're much closer to empty than you think. Coffee isn't the problem by itself. The problem is that an aging body has a smaller reserve to absorb coffee's normal effects on fluid, blood pressure, and the liver's workload. Keep that picture in your mind, because every habit, every warning, and every fix in this video comes back to this one idea, a shrinking reserve. Once you understand that, the rest of this becomes simple. It's not about fearing your morning coffee. It's about respecting how much reserve you actually have left to work with. Let's look at the research behind what we just talked about, because reduced kidney reserve isn't just an idea. It's backed by real numbers. The American Association of Kidney Patients reports that after age 40, kidney filtering power drops by about 8 points for every 10 years that go by. A study from UCLA Health found that coffee drinkers between 65 and 70 years old took 33% longer to clear caffeine from their body than younger coffee drinkers did. UCLA Health also reports that up to 40% of adults over 65 live with some level of ongoing dehydration, much of it tied to that weaker thirst signal we just covered. And research published in the medical journal Age and Aging shows that kidney filtering rate can fall by as much as half between the ages of 30 and 80. These aren't scare numbers, and they're not guesses. They simply confirm, in hard data, exactly what reduced kidney reserve means in real life: an older kidney with less filtering power, a body that holds on to caffeine far longer than it used to, and a thirst signal that often stays quiet long after the body actually needs water. This is the science. It's not personal advice, and it's not a reason to be afraid of your morning cup. It's just the foundation we need before we talk about what this means for coffee specifically, and what you can do about it starting with your very next cup. Now let's get into what this actually means for your coffee cup, starting with the first two things every senior should know. Number 1, blood pressure medication. If you take medicine to control high blood pressure, coffee is worth a second look. Remember, an older body holds on to caffeine much longer than it used to, so its small effects on blood pressure last longer too. A study published in the journal Hypertension followed adults with an average age of 72. Those with high blood pressure who drank 5 cups of coffee a day saw their 24-hour systolic pressure rise by almost 5 points, and their diastolic pressure rise by 3 points, compared to those who skipped coffee. People with normal blood pressure in the same study saw no change at all. This doesn't mean you need to give up coffee if your blood pressure runs high. It means the amount matters more for you than it does for someone with healthy blood pressure. Most guidance points to sticking with 1 or 2 cups a day if you have high blood pressure, and checking with your doctor about spacing it apart from water pills, since both caffeine and water pills can lower your potassium at the same time. Number 2, dehydration. We already talked about that quiet thirst signal. Coffee adds a small wrinkle here, since caffeine is a mild diuretic, meaning it makes you urinate a little more. The good news is, research shows this is mostly a non-issue for regular coffee drinkers. Studies have found that once your body gets used to caffeine, drinking up to about 3 cups a day causes no real fluid loss. The effect only shows up at much higher amounts, more than 4 or 5 cups taken close together, or in people who rarely drink caffeine at all. The catch for seniors is this: that thirst signal already runs quiet on its own, so even though coffee itself isn't the main problem, it's easy to let your total fluids slip lower than they should be. A simple fix is to drink 1 glass of water alongside or right after each cup of coffee you have. If you're on a blood pressure pill or a water pill, drop a comment below and let me know which one, because I want to see how many of you this actually applies to. Up next is the part most people never hear from their own doctor, and it might be the biggest reason your morning coffee feels different than it used to. The bigger risk isn't your plain black coffee. It's what gets added to it. Remember that narrower filter we talked about earlier. Phosphorus is one more thing it has to clear out of your blood, and when filtering power is already reduced, extra phosphorus builds up faster than it should. The National Kidney Foundation says that phosphorus added to flavored creamers, sweet syrups, and powdered mixes gets absorbed by your body at more than 90%, while the phosphorus found naturally in whole foods is absorbed at a much lower rate. This doesn't mean giving up your favorite flavored coffee forever. It means knowing what's hiding in the ingredient list. Check the label for the letters PHOS. If you see it, treat that creamer as an occasional extra, not a daily habit. Now here's the part that surprises almost everyone, even people who think they're paying close attention to their health. A normal-looking blood test doesn't always mean your kidneys are working normally. Going back to that narrower filter, your kidneys are so good at compensating that a large share of filtering power can already be gone before a standard test shows anything unusual. Researchers who study aging kidneys have found this is exactly why kidney decline often goes unnoticed for years in older adults, even in people whose lab results come back looking fine. This doesn't mean you need to panic over your coffee. It means everything we just covered, the medications, the cup count, the hidden phosphorus, still matters even if your last blood test looked normal. At your next visit, ask your doctor for your actual eGFR number, not just whether your results worked normal. That one number tells you far more about where you really stand than a single word on a report ever will. Everything we've covered is general information, not personal medical advice, so a few groups need a different answer than the one we just gave. If you take a water pill for fluid retention, talk to your doctor before changing your coffee habit, since both a water pill and caffeine push your body to release more fluid, and stacking changes without guidance isn't a good idea. If you've already been told you have kidney disease at stage 3 or higher, the general moderate coffee guidance in this video doesn't apply to you the same way, and you should work with your nephrologist or a renal dietitian to find the right amount for your specific stage. If you've had a kidney transplant, any change to your daily habits, including coffee, should go through your transplant team first, since your medications are monitored very closely and even small routine changes get tracked for a reason. And if you've been noticing dizziness, swelling in your legs or ankles, dark urine, or tiredness that doesn't match your normal day, that's a sign to call your doctor now, not a sign to quietly adjust your coffee and wait to see what happens. None of this means coffee is dangerous for most people over 60. It means the general advice in this video is built for someone without one of these specific situations. If one of them applies to you, the right next step isn't guessing from a video, it's a short conversation with the person who already knows your numbers. Think of someone like Linda, 68, who didn't overhaul her whole diet, she just made 2 small changes. She swapped her flavored creamer for a splash of milk, and she started drinking a glass of water before her first cup instead of after. Within a few weeks, she said she felt fewer afternoon energy crashes and felt more in control of her mornings, though it's worth being honest that one small story like this isn't proof of anything on its own, and her own checkups with her doctor are what actually track her kidney numbers, not a video. Here's how to turn everything we've covered into something you can act on today. If you have no diagnosed kidney condition and you're not on blood pressure or water pills, stick to 3 cups or fewer a day, finish your last cup by early afternoon, and choose plain coffee or a splash of milk over flavored creamers and syrups. If you're on a blood pressure pill or a water pill, confirm your personal caffeine limit with your doctor, but a reasonable starting point to bring up is 1 to 2 cups a day. If you've been told you have kidney disease at stage 3 or higher, skip the general rule entirely and let your nephrologist or renal dietitian set your exact amount, since your situation needs a number built around your own labs. If you've had a kidney transplant, the same applies, run any change past your transplant team first. A few habits apply to everyone watching, no matter your stage. Pair every cup of coffee with a glass of water, especially since your thirst won't always remind you to. Check the ingredient label on creamers and flavored syrups for the letters PHOS, and if you see it, save that product for an occasional treat instead of a daily habit. And at your next doctor's visit, ask for your actual EGFR number instead of settling for the word normal, so you know exactly where you stand instead of guessing. None of this requires spending money on a supplement or cutting coffee out completely. It just means matching your coffee habit to where your kidneys actually are today, not where they were 30 years ago. If this helped you look at your morning coffee a little differently, hit like and subscribe so more people over 60 can find research like this. As always, this video is general information, not personal medical advice, so talk to your doctor before changing anything about your diet, your medication, or your daily routine. Take care of yourself, drink that water alongside your coffee, and I'll see you in the next one, where we're going to look at the everyday habits that quietly speed up kidney aging without anyone telling you.